Hi guys, silverfilter here, and I'm here again to share some production tips with you and some arrangement tips. For today, we're going to be using my track "Sweetness" from the album "Listening While Waiting." So let's get on with it. So the intro, I have two things going here. I have an original loop, which already had a ride cymbal, but I layered another ride cymbal here. There you go. So, um, okay. So one thing I wanna share with you here. Sometimes you're gonna come across certain loops in your library, especially when it comes to older ones. Especially considering this track, I think I did like way back. So I was still kind of limited with what was available to me then. And this loop, I'm sure you've heard that that like gap between the loops. There's that point that you can slightly hear a gap, like you're tripping over the loop before it restarts. So there. My advice: embrace those things, because honestly, sometimes it's just the character now of that loop that somehow makes it better. Let's not look some so the point here is sometimes don't look for perfection. Those little things that make it quirky or different or sound imperfect. So what I like it now better because it I don't know, it sounds like there's a restart every time, and you know there's like it pushes the track more for me. Okay. So let's continue. So the bass comes in. So again, this was a replacement. The bass, I had the same MIDI, but I had to replace the instrument because I originally wrote this in FL Studio before, so I couldn't translate the instrument when I moved it over to Reason. So I had to load up another upright bass sound. But what I did here was I had a bunch of effects on the upright bass. So I want to solo the here so you can hear what's happened. The original sound. It's kind of plain. So if it's a it sounds too flat. I don't know if you noticed that. It sounds too flat. So what I did was I added some just okay some effects to warm it up with like a tape effect, and then some more compression. And then what I did was I added like a side chain, like a subtle side chain, um a lift movement, so that it sounds like it's breathing a bit, so that because it's a sample, it sounds a little more alive than this. So here it sounds more alive. Then I added the vinyl effect at the end. So that's how we get this. Okay, so we continue. whirly comes in. So this one, okay. So yeah, so this one, the panning is built into the sound. When the guitar comes in, the flute, sorry. So one thing to play around when you're arranging something, or you're writing, you're producing something. Like here, I already had my electric piano, my whirly, that was already somehow panning. So I kind of enjoyed that because all my drums are a bit, since my drum sample is more pretty much in mono, because of the sample itself. So I wanted to play with the other instruments in the track to have a more wider sound, to have a wider sound playing left and right, and that's what I did with the flute there. So I have my delay, a ping pong delay, so that it's going on the left and the right. Then a guitar comes in. Okay, the guitar, I intentionally chose the closest guitar sound to the original guitar that I used when I first did this. So, like I said earlier, I was a I was very limited then with my sound bank. So, if you listen to the guitar here, it's really like very MIDI sounding. So I had to use the ID8 instrument device of Reason, which is like their basic module. And then what I did was versus this. So to make it come a bit more alive, I added some effects, some reverb, just equalize it a bit, yeah, compress it a bit, then another tape effect to warm it up, and then the delay, and then here I turned on a phaser effect. So I modulated the guitar in this part. So this comes in at the transition here. So here, phaser on. So it's very subtle, but you can now feel that movement.
Sitting squarely in the
Okay.
groove.
So yeah, don't forget your modulations. So in this case I turned it on in that empty part just to make the guitar a little bit more alive and moving. So again, I'm just giving you ideas that you can use and integrate into your productions. So another thing here is, before the transition ended, like, so let's pay attention to the loop. Okay, I turned it off. Okay, so here I was trying to simulate like a cymbal choke, but since, so the cymbal choke is when the drummer hits it and then he tries to close and hold the cymbal. So psst, like something like that. So here, since it's a loop, okay, since it's a loop there. So sometimes you can explore your loop in MIDI. So in this case, um, I can find something that can simulate that. So I wanted my kick and then this. So it has a longer cymbal sound with it. So it sounds like it was something like that. So when we play it, there. Okay. So don't forget to explore your loop in MIDI. And then I brought in the ride. So here you can
Sitting
so
squarely
you
in
can
the
hear
groove.
it's very the feel of the ride here is very human because I really like you can really hear the velocity changes.
Sitting squarely in the groove.
Yeah, introduce the
Groove,
sample.
groove, groove,
So you can hear the sample sitting squarely in the groove, and then I added an effect with a long feedback on the groove, and then I triggered it on. So here, so the trigger is on, so that just on the groove, so that
sitting
is
squarely in the groove. Groove, groove,
so there. So now you can hear the loop, the groove, just looping until it dies, and then we break and remove some instruments. Okay, so before we proceed to that shift, let's go back to the guitar. And what I did was, okay, so I tried to say, if you remember what I did with the vocal, the groove, I added a delay so that a part of it repeats. So instead of doing an effect, I in the guitar, I just played the same note over and over again. So here. But what I did was I I added some more feedback, or but just deep depth in the phaser effect, and then as it as it got deeper, I just brought down the volume of the guitar. So sometimes just killing that whole part into silence or something, just everything fades, can prepare. And if especially if you're working with a really different transition and something different is gonna happen in the next part, it's good to do something like this to prepare it. So so I don't know if you noticed already that in this whole second half part, I'm already using an entirely new set of drums versus here. So here we're using this. Now I'm using all these different loops. So this is the main drum loop. Then I added a shaker there, and then some percussion. But now, this is also important. Don't forget that you also have to pay attention to your instruments that tie up your track, and instruments and sounds or lines that tie tie the track together, or make, or it's something really common in the track. So what am I saying? So in this case, you wouldn't notice that it's that the whole drum drum kit was changed, because we can still hear our original keys, and we can still hear our original guitar, and it's still the same bass. So, and the the theme of the whole track is still in that same feel. It just feels now that it picked up a bit, and that's because even if we change the drums, we can still hear everything that's familiar to us. And pay attention to the bass. It's in the high register. And then okay. So here, like I said, pay attention to the bass because I dropped it down one octave in the repeat. So high. You can even hear I had a transition. Wait. So now what did I do? If you What did I do now in the repeat to avoid making it sound too loopy? I added now that vocal sample. The oh. So when the so now from the higher register of the bass, when we brought it down, we wanted to fill up that mid part that was left by that higher bass sound. So it was nice to have that new vocal to place in between. As it dropped, the bass is here. Now we have our vocal here to fill that up. So we're approaching the end. Then I turned on the phaser again. So I think this was faded out also in the album. So here, since this is a project file, we didn't fade it out here. But again, uh, taking off from the video the other week, like here, the guitar, it's just like I changed the line into something very cyclical, just to just because I had in mind that I was gonna fade it out. There. So that's it. That's sweetness, and I hope you picked up some new tips and tricks for your next production. Um, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.